Hey guys, so I'm Sufi Arshan Aziz Faruq. So today we'll be talking about world geography, an interesting topic for those of you who tend to go abroad or those who are just interested to learn more about the world. I'm going to go through the entire geography of the world as well as mention some important countries. I'm going to start at Europe and end all the way in North America. Without further ado, let's begin. So we start from Iceland, the first country in Europe. But Iceland is not that much of a topic to talk about. It is a well-known place because of its safetiness and inhabitants, plus having an interesting title because it seems to be more green than Greenland. That aside, we come to mainland Europe, or starting with United Kingdom. The country has been known for being the colonizer of most of the world, but in recent years, it's declined to quite an unknown extent. Riots, mass crime, and basically making London into a bit of a hellhole. It's not all bad. Tourists still come to this place a lot, and it's still a well-known business commerce. We come to other well-known countries such as France, Spain, Italy, and Germany. And these are countries which are well known for global commerce. Germany in particular has the biggest economy in all of Europe and is Europe's fastest growing country by far. France, the good old French, are known for being some of the most well-known language speakers in the world. And Paris and France itself is the world's biggest destination for tourists because of its beautiful architecture, its history, and all that. But it's also a place of riots and a lot of violence. We come to Spain, the land of football, beautiful history, and the language of Spanish. But, yeah, not too much to speak about, is it? Then we come to Italy, the land of Ferrari, most race cars, and beautiful Italian food. Germany we already discussed. Switzerland, the country known for being neutral in everything. Yes. And we come to these countries, these bad boys right here. Denmark, Norway, Stockholm, Sweden, Finland. These countries have some of the lowest crime rates in the entire world and are some of the best places in the world to live in. Not my most favorite countries, but countries I'd certainly visit and certainly wish to live in if it hadn't been for the love of my most favorite country. But we'll find that out later. We come to Russia. In case all of you kind of hate me for talking about Russia, it's still one of the world's most geographically important countries. So let's ignore the whole business happening here right now and just talk about the geography. And also, I forgot to mention, so Iceland borders literally no one. United Kingdom shares border with only one country, and that is Ireland. Well, mutually. Ireland does want Northern Ireland back, but we saw how that went. France borders several countries, which includes Italy, Switzerland, Belgium, and Germany. These countries only. And it also interestingly has borders around the world due to its islands. Its biggest border is actually here on French Guiana. But we'll come to French Guiana later in our South America part. And Russia is the world's biggest country by far and borders several countries. They border Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, Georgia, Iran, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, China, and even a very tiny border with North Korea, and some islands it shares with Japan. Here we come to the end of this geography, but Denmark doesn't border anyone, albeit it shares a border with Canada through Denmark, but it shares a border with Greenland, with Canada, but we'll come to that later. So now we come to our home and the home of most of the population, Asia. Asia, also known as the country for having basically all of the world's geopolitical events, is a continent of enormous significance to the entire world, having some major countries, which all I'm going to talk about now. First of all, we have China, the country of censorships, government opposition, TikTok, and many other things. Please don't demonetize me. But we also have to mention China as an important business hub, as a country in these areas, mostly in Beijing and some in Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Macau, have some of the biggest business interns in the world, with many big companies always going to China to start new business incomes there, which includes large amounts of manufacturing and all that. It has come under controversy, but the country is a very important cultural hub. And while I try to be unbiased, I do have to mention that it has policies, but hey, profits always outweigh the problems. Next, we come to India, the land of tech geniuses, pollution, and war. Yes, war in this region. So I'm not going to anger anyone by saying that this area belongs to anyone, but Pakistan and India just don't get along. And this is by far a very controversial region, as both these countries are fighting over Kashmir, an area which borders China. And China happens to border Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, barely, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, North Korea. Oh God, that's a lot of countries. But we do have to mention that India also doesn't border that many countries compared to China. They almost do share a border with Sri Lanka, but through no necessarily means. They're just very close to the country and can be connected through bridge, but that's not happened yet. Pakistan border is one of the worst places to go at the moment because of the fact that you can easily get shot if you trespass. It's military guarded and you can't legally cross the border. Then we come to Bangladesh, our home basically, so I'm not gonna talk about it much. So moving on. Then we come to Southeast Asia, the area which has the most industry put into it in the recent years, with countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand, with the most sussest named capital in the entire world. I'm not gonna say it because some people will demonetize me. And this, as a result, is a very big place for business, even more than China. No demonetization, please. This, as a result, is very important to the world in terms of its economic significance and is an area that is important. Next, we come to Japan, the land of anime, TV shows, cars, and possibly even spacecraft? Nah, not spacecraft. They are a country well known for building a lot of things. Yes, their atrocities in World War II may still be blind in their eyes, but hey, look at Germany now. So they are a country that was well growing until the 90s when their big crash happened. And as a result, they are one of the world's more popular tourist destinations than a significant country. But they have contributed significantly to the growth of many countries, particularly Bangladesh and India. Now we come to South Korea and North Korea. Oh boy, will this be a roughhouser. South Korea shares a border with only one country, and that is North Korea. North Korea shares a border with 3 countries: China, Russia, and South Korea. It doesn't officially share a border due to the demilitarized zone, but it is close enough to the point it can be considered a land border with South Korea. These countries are incredibly separated and are very well known. One is a nuclear dictatorship. Yes, nuclear dictatorship. Search it up if you will. And we come to a land of K-pop, great music, and many, many more. This country is something everyone likes, and this one, its northern neighbor, is something everyone hates. But regardless, we are not going to talk much here if we're going to start a war. Moving on, we go to Oceania. Now, Oceania is going to be complicated considering very few of the countries are actually visible to me from here because they're that tiny. Not as tiny as Vatican City, which is, I forgot to mention, the smallest country in the world. But they are small enough to the point that they have to be outlined. They can't even be seen on this map. I'll get some obvious ones out of the way. Fiji, Nauru, and what can I say? Maldives, yes. These countries are small, relatively insignificant, are only known because of certain things. Nauru is known for its obesity. Don't stare at me. And Fiji is known for being a water bottle company. And Maldives is known for its sinking. Ah, well. Then we come to the biggest oceanic countries. New Zealand, the country of a great president, relative nothingness, and a beautiful environment. It's been one of the best countries in the world to live in and is the world's best speaking Anglo country. Now we come to Australia, the land of animals, rough housing, and possibly rough racing. Okay. This land is known for being mostly uninhabitable with a population of 25 million for a land mass that's supposedly 1.5 times bigger than India. But it's also a country that hosts some of the world's most important cities. For business and commerce, that is. Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Brisbane. Now we go to the Middle East. Oh no, we go to Africa. Okay, so here is Africa. That's all people know about it. But there's more to this continent than most people may think, and I'm angry at them because they really underrate this continent. So Northern Africa is known for housing the world's largest Muslim population and is an area important in terms of Muslim commerce. That's it. It's located between the Mediterranean, a massive ocean, a small ocean area that divides Europe and Africa, Northern Africa. While Africa is technically isolated, it does share a border with Asia through Egypt. And Southern Africa is the area most of you may know for violence, poverty, and really anything. But this has some of the world's fastest growing countries. Most importantly, South Africa, which most know for violence and all that stuff. But hey, it's a quick growing country and it's something that's important to the world. We come to Central Africa, an area well known for famine and all that, but having the Congo, a country well known for using traffic robots and many other things. Africa is really underrated, and I can't even rate all the facts that people don't know about it. I personally want people to investigate more, as saying this would just make them forget this gracious growing continent. Now we arrive to Antarctica. There's really nothing to say about it. It's just an icy continent that still can't be inhabited. But I can finish up quickly. So Antarctica is obviously not inhabited, but a few stations that monitor the area is still there. It's the area's largest ice area and a well-known establishment for people who try to dare this. But this area also is something well known for containing a lot of oil. And the US just so happens to have an oil field on the land and a monitoring station. Now we come to the land of music and carnival, Latin America, basically South America and Central America and Mexico. So I'll get you guys out of the way. Most people know it for being land of carnivals, Latinos, and drug violence. So drug violence aside, the countries are very good. Brazil is a very fast-growing country economically and is a very popular industrial nation. But its violence has given it a bad image, and Mexico is even worse, with 17 of the world's most violent cities being located in the country. The most well-known is Tijuana and Ciudad Juarez. But these cities have had a lot of industrial commerce and are an area most Mexicans move to, but at the same time try to avoid due to the whole violence thing. The Juarez cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, and the CDC, I guess, I don't know what they're called. Please don't kill me. These cartels basically make Mexico a living hell. And Brazil is, 10 of the world's most violent cities are located in Brazil, with massive crimes by the Brazilian favelas, or the favela owners. Massive series of crime lords who have more control over them than the federal government, and are even powerful to the point they literally shoot down helicopters of the police on a regular basis. And to enforce them, Brazilian police use the Brazilian BOPEs, or Brazilian Special Operations Force. I messed that up, whatever. We come to Argentina, and most of you already know it from being the land of football and all that. Argentina doesn't have a lot of history besides its football achievements. But its city, Buenos Aires, is one of the most public cities in the world due to its connection to the outside world. And Brazil is known for Rio de Janeiro, a violent city, but nonetheless a very great place to go to if you're vacationing. It even has Christ the Redeemer. I mean, what reason do you not want to go there except to see Christ the Redeemer? Oh yeah, the shootings. Colombia, one of the US's most vital Latin American allies, and possibly a country well known for being the best in terms of decreasing its drug violence. It's still not gone, but it's much better than what's happening in Mexico right now. Venezuela, the land of bankruptcy, that's all people know it for. It's oil and bankruptcy. So we'll move aside. Central America, the land of murder, that's all people call it. Murder, murder, murder everywhere. So moving on, we come to the Caribbean, or the beautiful Caribbean as I like to call it. Area of vacationing spots, Cuba, and most importantly, carnivals. An area which you can embrace and enjoy. Then we come to America and Canada, or the United States and Canada, whatever you prefer. United States is my favorite country. Don't ask why. It's just that it's got every form of media I like. YouTube, Hollywood. Yeah, don't hate me for liking Hollywood. Some of you do, I understand that. And New York City, Los Angeles, yeah, a lot of stuff. But the US is the world's most important country as of now. Yes, China may be trying to replace it, but it is still growing fast. And it is still a fast-growing country in terms of how it tries to operate itself. It's not a still developing country, it's fully developed, but it's a country well known for having a lot of immigration, lots. I mean, millions of people try to move there every year. And the country also is known for being expensive, having expensive healthcare, a lot of gun violence, and abortion illegality. Okay, this is a demonetizing topic. I shouldn't talk about this. But the gun violence is very major, with major states like Ohio, no memes allowed in the comments, Texas, and Wyoming, Louisiana, and Mississippi. These states are known for their gun violence, mostly towards American teenagers or schools. Don't demonetize me. But school violence and all that aside, America is still a country which most people move to simply because of its cultural significance and the fact it just has a good quality of life. I mean, developed to most well-developed nations, America may seem like a hell, but comparing it to areas around the world, paradise. And speaking of paradise, Hawaii, America's best territory. A land known for being a lot of party houses, many big cities, including Honolulu, and also a lot of fun, basically. Just enjoy your time in Hawaii. That's all I recommend. Alaska, the land of freezing cold, the most cold area in the entire United States, and the third most underpopulated state, behind Wyoming and Vermont. This area is an area which most Americans tend to avoid due to it being high on crime, but that's because it's cold and it's hard to monitor anything. So it's virtually a lawless place. Not really unpraising Alaska. I'm just saying if you guys are visiting Alaska, watch out first. Try to wear ice goggles and whatever. Just try to be safe. And here we come to major places around America. So we get the way the US out of here. The US, despite being a very short country in terms of its history, has accomplished more to the point despite countries which have longer history times, this country has more to talk about it in its short lifespan. Multiculturalism, movies, big cities, and most importantly, murder. Okay, I don't think I should talk about murder, but I mean 8 of the most violent cities in the world are located in the US. Seriously, what's wrong with the Americas? But this area is one of the best. This country is still one of the best. I mean, New York, or the Big Apple, as I love to call it, and many people love to call it, is one of the best areas in the entire world to visit. Big buildings, Times Square, the September 11 areas, but we're not going to talk about that now. And possibly most importantly, the location of many of your favorite movies that are not even from Hollywood. And Home Alone. For God's sakes, who doesn't like Home Alone? Chicago, the film where the first Home Alone movie was set, and the film which is the closest to New York in terms of its buildings. Los Angeles, the land of Hollywood, the land of crime, and the land of many things. That's all I have to say about Los Angeles, many things. San Francisco, the land of the We Were Bear setting, the land of expensiveness, and the land of earthquakes. But besides that, we will talk about California and major US states. The US is well known for its states and is one of the most divided and most multicultural areas in the entire world. And I plan to emigrate there myself. Goodbye, undeveloped Bangladesh. So That aside, US is still a great place, yet it's had its issues, but it's not a country which everyone really tends to hate. It's a country which everyone tends to celebrate simply for existing. It may not be the greatest country in the world, I admit myself as an American lover, and it's not the safest in the world, definitely not. I firmly accept that. But it is still a country which people fight to get into, and a fight I'm willing to fight myself. Our last two areas, but we'll get on with Greenland first. Greenland is technically a part of Europe through Denmark, but it has been acting as an independent country for many years. It's mostly frozen, and which is ironic because Iceland seems to have more green in it than Greenland. A bit weird, isn't it? Greenland is more covered in ice than Iceland, and Iceland seems to have more green than Greenland. None of this makes sense, but considering geography is a complicated topic, I'm not diving too much into this. But all it's known for is having the Greenlandians, who are Europeans who've actually started to look like Asians due to their long time spent on the country. While Greenland is still technically a part of Denmark, it has been acting more like an independent country, and Denmark doesn't seem to care about it. America's been trying to buy it, but as of recent years, this has been difficult. Lastly, one of the best countries in the world, Canada. Sharing a border with only two countries like the US, it shares a border with Mexico and that. So I'm not going to take too much into the borders. I'm only going to talk about different continents and that. And personally, we're going to talk about different countries later. But here, we're just talking about the world's geography, how every place is like. So particularly, I like North America due to its most diverse climate. And it's also particularly hosts my two favorite countries, Canada and the United States. Canada, the land of beautifulness and the land of cold, is one of the best areas in the world to be in terms of a living country. While the south of Canada is a great place to live in terms of living conditions, North Canada is violent, dangerous, and very unstable. But I mean, most Canadians understand why. It's cold, hostile, and barely anyone can come in there. As a result, this area is one of the more difficult regions. But Canada has still got some history, as it is the other country that when Europeans migrated through the North Atlantic Ocean, they migrated there as well. Because America wasn't the only country that provided that many opportunities. Canada was just as big in terms of opportunityness. So these areas are some of the biggest country regions in the entire world, and are important for commerce. Canada being an exceptionally brilliant and smart country, and the US being a land of anything. This is my lesson on geography. The world is a complicated place, a diverse place, and a violent place. But all of this aside, we get to a world where there is lots of things to see. I personally plan to visit many more countries in Asia, Australia, and I also plan to emigrate to the US. To anyone who seems to look at the world, do you. It's big, there's lots to see, and it's fancy.